Today I want to share 4 tips to help you in the planning of your homeschool year. Now, this is assuming that you have already purchased, ordered, received your curriculum. These are steps that I have been taking in the past several years just to help me think about and plan my school year. I do want to say welcome. My name is Rachel. I am a homeschool mom of 4 boys. I have graduated 2 in this school year. I will have an 11th grader and a 6th grader. And we just finished up our 15th year. So let's go ahead and get started. My first tip is to go ahead and give yourself time. Maybe you have a start date. Maybe you have already started and it's been a little bit rough. So we're going to start there. If you have already started and you're thinking this is rough, just find a stopping point where you can step back and regroup. But I'm really here to talk about those who have not even started yet and are in the beginning stages of planning. Let's take our time. And what do we need time to do? Well, one thing to think about, is this our first time homeschooling? Have we been doing this a while? That might evaluate how much time you need. So what are we doing with this time? Well, we really need to look over all their curriculum. And yes, we see it as a whole. I've got lots of books right here that I need to go through, and I'm about ready to do this process that I'm telling you about. But I really need to go through and look at first of all, any teacher guides, and some curriculum may not have a teacher's guide. For example, we will be using this with combining my 2, and there's not really a teacher's guide in here, but I was flipping through it, taking my time, reading the foreword to the instructor, some notes that I sort of just went over and realizing, oh, I didn't know that they had this. Oh, I really like this. I wonder if I can use this. All right, let me think about how I can incorporate all of this information and just getting an idea, okay, how many weeks are in this? How long is one lesson? Things like that. And this is true. I was looking at this the other day at the table thinking, oh, I didn't realize they had. So take your time, look through the curriculum. Now, I say that because I have made the mistake of not doing that. And I'm either halfway through the school year or finishing up, or maybe I'm just sort of at a standstill wondering, why is this not working right? And usually if I go back and read the instructor's guide or the manual, or just, sometimes it's just going to have instructions at the very beginning for the parents to read all the way through. If I didn't read that, I probably missed something important that would have helped it flow a lot easier. And I've done that a few times, and I have learned, Rachel, just take your time, go through everything and make sure you understand it, because I want to be clear when I'm getting ready to explain what I expect from them. So I really need to know what is expected. And it does take time, especially if you have several kids. A lot of times for us, when I had all the little ones, there was some combined subjects. So that made it a little bit easier. But there was some individual subjects, and sometimes they were not the same material. So this is why it's so important to go ahead and make sure you schedule yourself some time. Maybe you just want to flat out, you need a whole day to yourself. Maybe you need a week, and you have people that can help with the kids. I have never had that opportunity. I have just had to take bites of it throughout the summer or the month. I usually try to start a month ahead of time, just sort of looking through things, especially things that I am not familiar with and are new to us. The next step for me would to be opening up the books, getting an idea of the curriculum itself. Like I would want to take, this is example, my son's one of his science guides that he'll be using. And I'll just want to, after reading the instructions, and I may do that at separate times. So sometimes I go through and I'll spend some time reading all the instructions or the teacher's guides or the guide itself. We use Heart of Dakota, that's sort of to both the student and the parent. And just getting an idea, okay, where is he going to begin? See how it's scheduled out, because I haven't really done a master books one in a little while, and I forgot that they do it every like 9 weeks, so I need to think that through. And what book will he start on, because they're using several books here and some DVDs, so I want to see which book he's going to be using first, sort of get that laid out. And something else I've learned, you know, I'm thinking he's got all these answers and questions, and I'm like, can I copy these? I looked at the front already, and yes, I can. So now I'm trying to decide, do I want to spend the time doing that? These books are what, maybe 15? I cannot remember. And then my son is only in 6th. It'll be years before he gets to this. So I need to decide, do I just want to like hand this to him and let him fill this out? So there's just some planning that you really need to realize that you're going to have to take the steps to do, and it is time consuming. So that's why I'm saying make sure you give yourself some time, and this is what you're going to be doing with that time. You're going to be reading through, making sure you understand all the instructions from the different guides, what is going to be expected, and then, you know, just seeing the layout. Especially, he's got a few different things this school year, so and just making some decisions. There have been times where I have pulled these sheets out and I have made copies so I can reuse it. So those are just some decisions you'll have to be making, and that's just one example of the different curriculums I'm going to have to be going through here soon. And I will be making some actual planning videos of what I'm doing specifically for my boys. And if you are enjoying this video, or if you enjoy planning, taking your time and planning for the next school year, would you give this video a thumbs up? And if you have not subscribed, that would just encourage me so much, and know that this is helping. So, and also tell me below, what is the hardest part for you in your planning? For me, it is my summer going by too fast. And that seems to get worse and worse every year. So the next thing for me, once I sort of really realize where I'm at, and maybe even before I'm finished with that step that I just mentioned about going through and looking to see how it's going to be scheduled out, I'm going to be thinking about the plan that I have for them throughout the day. You may have your own personal planner where you write every single thing down, and I have tried that, and I wanted it to work because I just love pretty things, and all the mama homeschool planners are beautiful, but it's just I've never stuck with it. It's not been worth it for me. So for me, it is best to give each of my boys their own planner, even when they were younger, even if it was just like a spiral notebook and I would just write the day's plans out. I usually try to do like at least a week's worth. Now for my high schooler now, I'm trying to do a month in advance of scheduling for him, because sometimes over the weekend, Monday will come and I did not get it done, and he likes his planner and he likes it all scheduled out and ready for him. And it's a little bit more flexible with upcoming 6th grader. He will be a little bit more patient with me, and a lot of what we do, we still do together, and I just am able, because he is my last one, able to sit with him. Now, when I had several children, it was just helpful to have the notebooks. They could say, can I do this now, Mom? And I will like, let me see your notebook and what have you done? And I could go over it with them and maybe ask to look at their work and get it checked off. So it's very helpful to know what you're going to be doing for that step in the planning. And you may want to also think about a schedule that would work for you throughout the day. It could be something that you just have written down in your own notes. It could have a schedule that you have written for each of them in their own notebooks. It could be something that you post on the wall or the board, however you want to do it. But let me tell you this, you got to be flexible about it. Give yourself some wiggle room, because after a week or two, I usually make some changes into my plan, especially when I had everybody home and there was always something that I had to tweak. That's why Again, we want to give ourselves time. We want to go ahead and plan ahead and think about how we would like for it to flow, because a lot of times we're thinking, okay, I want to do the morning basket, so we'll do that first, and then I'll get, them settled with doing some independent work. Well, the kids might be like, after morning time, they're restless and they need a mental break and they're ready to go outside, or they need to just go play for a little bit, depending on the age. Or you all may just want to go take a walk just to help get them refreshed and ready for the next step. Now for us, I almost feel like it's best to go ahead and get some independent work out of the way first. So I know that their minds are fresh, they're up, they've had breakfast, and they're ready to start something. And then when I'm ready to do, we don't really call it morning basket, but we do always have had together time, whether it was during the season where we combined, or whether I do read alouds with everybody, that type of thing. I'll do that later. There have been seasons where I may have called everybody together in the morning, but it was usually after some of them had done a little bit independent work. You have to decide on what is going to work for your family in this season, because it will change, and sometimes it changes every year for what will work. So when you're thinking about that first couple weeks, think, I'm going to write this out, but don't write it permanently because you may make some changes. Okay, my fourth step, and this is almost a step as you are coming into the school year. It is something that you want to think about and plan. It sort of falls into how you're going to schedule things out. But for us, it's always worked best to go ahead and start with just a couple subjects that first week, instead of jumping into every subject, because some of it might be new to them. I usually want to do math and spelling, Bible, maybe go ahead and start a read aloud. It depends on how our year is going and what is going to be on the schedule and what curriculum we're using. But sort of start with those core subjects like math and maybe a language arts that first week. Get them settled into just using their brain again, especially if you do take a big summer break. And once they've got that down, then you can start into the other subjects like history and science. And you may want to do history and then add science the next week. Depends on the age of your children and how many you have. So I really do suggest that. And something else that has helped me, I don't feel like I will probably do it this school year, and I can't even remember if I did it last, but I do know I did it when I had all my boys here, and my oldest and my next one, is to go ahead and start the oldest first. Make sure they know exactly what is expected of them and what is needed, especially when they're in high school, because you're going to give them a little bit more independence, and you don't want them to realize you forgot to tell them this or that because you really just didn't sit down and make sure that you may even just want to start them the week before anybody else to make sure that you have helped them through any struggles or questions they may have. So those are just some suggestions. Like I said, every stage and every season and every child is different. You may have one that's very independent and you can just give them the work and they don't even really need you. So I don't know if I've had one like that, but we are still working on it. So the steps would be definitely to give yourself time. Give yourself time for all that planning, and you're going to start with making sure you know what is expected of you as the teacher, as the guide, and be ready to be familiar with the curriculum so you know what you're talking about when you introduce it to them. And then go ahead and start looking through the curriculum and maybe even filling out some plans that you would like. For me, I actually have these yearly overview sheets. I actually pulled them out of one of the homeschool mama guides that I didn't end up using, and I will sometimes fill that out for different subjects, maybe for the language arts, just to give me an idea of what's expected week 1, week 2, week 3, what I would like to accomplish those weeks. So, but like I said, for me, it just helps to know that I can be flexible about it, and it helps them. Once you get all that scheduled and familiar with, sometimes on the curriculum, like if chapter 1, chapter 2, I'll actually put like this is week 1. I'll actually write in the book itself. Like I want you to get 1 through 3 done, week 2, week 3, week 4. So, and I'll show a little bit more of that probably when I do the planning video for my individual boys. But then just having a plan of when to start, what you're going to do first, how you expect your week to run, and to be flexible about it. To know that you're possibly going to tweak it a little bit. And I've even told my boys, this is where we're going to start. This is how I want it to look. But, you know, if this doesn't work, we'll go ahead and make some changes. So, you know, I tell them so they know what to expect. And I think that helps them mentally. And then we'll discuss at the end of the week, how did it go? Is this going okay? And then after a few weeks, I might do something a little bit more permanent for their schedule. And even then, after a couple months, as you're hitting the holidays, that can change again. So keep that in mind. But I hope this video was helpful and encouraging, and a little later on my time and my planning this summer, but I'm going to get it done and hopefully get these videos out for you. But I did want to get this one done just to help and encourage you in this planning journey for this next school year. So I hope you all have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you again soon.